Of the W Factor. Thank you for tuning in. And you are with myself, William, and my co host and son and wrestling Mark Luke, and we are going to discuss this week in wrestling. So, we will discuss Monday Night Raw, we will discuss AEW Dynamite, we will discuss NXT and how tragic that was with the title being vacated, but we'll get to that. And as always, your SmackDown to close the show, and then we'll discuss some other stuff afterwards. So Luke, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Luke. I'm always here. I'm talking about wrestling as well, William.
Yep.
I don't know much as much as William. I don't know why I'm saying this, but yeah. Welcome to the show. Today we're going to start off with Raw.
Monday Night Raw opens with Drew McIntyre cutting what I would say was a really good promo about his victory over Randy Orton at SummerSlam. Me and Luke watched that match, and you know it was the saving grace of the entire card. Really,
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that match, let's just say the pay-per-view might have been turned off early at our end. But do you know what? Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, so far they've not really had a match or said anything that has been any form of disappointment. They've really sort of put everything into it, and both individual great performers are doing really well together. There's no sort of clashing or anything. The chemistry is really well. So he mentions that although the match was good and he defeated Randy, he's disappointed that he didn't get to take him to Claymore Country, which I quite enjoyed. As much as I liked the finish, the sort of sneaky roll up, I thought the fact that both members of the match attempted their finishing move a couple of times and never landed it, although the commentators were building it up, the fact that we didn't get that finish was great. Some would say anticlimactic, but I would say it was really well done, especially for that match. But he's talking about how he didn't get a chance to take Randy Orton to the Claymore Country, and on his walk back to the ring he is met with Randy Orton, who gives him a bit of a beatdown, attacks him. They end up backstage. It's like it must just be right behind the curtain because it's quite a small area backstage. So they're having their beat down there. Randy Orton sets Drew up for a really nice punt kick. However, what I've noticed is the punt kicks needs to be done quite quickly. The build up to it is quite, and we discussed this as well last week when we were doing our SummerSlam special. Much like the sweet chin music, it kind of loses its momentum if the person is just standing there clearly just waiting to take it. It loses its realism, I would say.
You'd expect it to happen when you've been waiting there for 10 minutes and he's not been doing anything.
So on Raw we have Drew sitting on all fours, waiting for this punt kick for what feels like 3, maybe 4 minutes, because Randy's been held back by security, and at that point you think, right Drew, up you get, son. Up you get. And the way the camera's got it looking is that Drew looks over every so often just to see when this punt kick is coming, but then he just takes it. It's not as if he's looking so he can anticipate it and prevent it or move or whatever. He just sits there and takes it. So the punt kick, the sweet chin music,
it's a move that works a lot better when it's unexpected. You can expect it, but when it just happens, like the RKO, just RKO out of nowhere, it's really good.
The RKO out of nowhere is really good. The reason the middle rope DDT works is because when you're in that position, when Randy's got you in that position and you're lying horizontal, being held up by his arm and being held up by the middle ropes, the reason that the suspense works there is because you're supposed to be somewhat unconscious at that point, and then
you're not supposed to be able to reverse that.
Yeah, there's not supposed to be a reversal, which is the downside to the punt kick is it looked as if Drew was just sitting there waiting to take it, much like HBK as well. The punt kick wasn't this surprise move. Like, the RKO took him out, and then he he was up to his knees, but again he was maybe there for maybe 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But for a wrestling fan, that's an eternity waiting in a move like that, because it's coming, and eventually the suspense dies, and with a move like that, dies quite quickly.
It reminded me of WrestleMania when he was Randy Orton versus Edge, and it was with the 2 steel chairs that he was gonna do.
Yeah.
It just took him so long to get that ready. Like he was Edge was unconscious on top of that van for so long, that truck, and he just lost so much. It lost so much momentum, and the whole thing about wrestling is that once you've got that momentum going, it's a really good match. Like another example I can think of is like when they try to sell a move for too long. Like,
yes.
Like both of them hit each other or something, and then they just lie there for like 15-20 seconds, and it's just
a last man standing match. Depending on the competitors, is quite a risky match to put on. So, for example, Edge, as much training as he put himself through, he did seem like he got quite tired quite quickly, especially after the whole gym equipment spot that they put on. So when it came to being on top of the truck, or when they were in the backstage promo area, and they both ended up on the ground, they just lay there for too long. And I know they're catching their breath, I know they're tired, it's a long match, but don't put your wrestlers in that position if that's how they're going to react, because at that point you start to lose fans, you start to lose interest, and then I don't know about you, Luke, but it got to a certain point where I just wanted it to finish.
Yeah, that's what I was
like it was a great match, two great competitors, it was a great match. It just got to a point where, alright, wrap it up now, let's see who's on next and stuff. But so we have Baszler. So there's the punt kick. We've got images going through the podcast for anybody that's new. We'll have images that go up through Twitch and through YouTube videos. However, if you are listening just purely on the audio for whatever personal reason, we'll break down the pictures for you. So the image on the screen just now is Randy Orton hitting Drew with I thought it was a really sick looking punt kick. Like a proper, it looked really good.
It looked good, yeah.
However, the build up was quite
meh.
Build up was quite meh. After that, we have Bayley versus Shayna Baszler. The match itself was nothing special. On the screen just now, we have Nia Jax and Baszler, who met backstage. They're building towards they're building towards one of these tag teams that hate each other.
But
which
they do it together because they're good.
Yeah, they're it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the enemy of Nia Jax is Bayley and Banks. The enemy of Shayna Baszler is Bayley Banks. But Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax don't like each other, but they don't like each other to such an extent where they will team up. It can work, and then again it can't work, and I just feel that
especially with Nia,
somebody's going to get hurt, if not everybody, in a tag match that they do. So as I say,
did Nia always have that hell?
No, this is like a Pokemon evolution that Nia Jax has gone through after a suspension, which didn't last long at all.
It wasn't really a suspension, was it?
Well, it was supposed to be. Fire her, I would say, but no, it was. Yeah, she was supposed to be suspended, kayfabe, but they maybe ran it for like 6 days or something, and then she was back. And I just feel that this poor security guard that she beat up has got no justice for what happened to him.
They could have fired her, and then she could have joined Retribution.
Exactly.
Something like that.
They've started.
So she could have gone Retribution or something.
Yeah, she could have. I would see if I was Retribution. I wouldn't even take her on. I wouldn't
dangerous.
I wouldn't let Nia Jax in the underground. And that's supposed to be shoot fighting.
Imagine seeing Nia with a chainsaw.
I feel like she would get shot and tasered by the police if they caught Nia Jax with a chainsaw, even if it was like a legit purchase from like a hardware store. Yeah. I feel like she would just get shot dead for it. So Bayley and Baszler put on an okay match, but Nia Jax being your main event here, she jumps in gets involved, which causes Baszler to win by disqualification because the referee sees it as Jax is helping Bayley, so Bayley loses, which is sometimes that works. Again, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and in this case, to me, it didn't work.
They don't seem like the mischievous cheater types.
No.
What they're trying to go for them is that they're just destructive and
they're a self-destructive hate tag team.
Yeah, they're not like a Guerrero or an MGF, you know.
So I mean, I've got no idea where they're going with this, and I don't really care. Next on Monday Night Raw, we have the KO show, where we've got special guest Aleister Black. Now, we were discussing on our SummerSlam show that we didn't really know what they were going to do with Black. Yeah. I hope they were going to reinvent the character, and from what Luke has seen of Black, he wasn't too interesting. However, we had one of our regular viewers of the show comment on the fact that Aleister Black was going to appear on the Kevin Owens show, so I was looking forward to this, hoping for more. Yeah. What we get is Aleister Black asks for the injury spot to be played on the Titantron of him being pushed into the steel steps. However, as it's playing in the background, Kevin Owens talks about how unhealthy it is for Aleister's psychological health, and he needs to move on because that's what Rollins does. If he lets Rollins in his head, he wins. So Aleister Black then takes a bit of a dizzy turn where he falls off the chair, goes to his knees, he's holding his injured eye, and he's sort of he just goes dizzy. That's all I can really say. He goes dizzy. Kevin Owens tries to get paramedics in, but he leaps to... Well, he doesn't leap to his feet. He gets up and he hits Kevin Owens with a really bad looking back elbow. I mean, it kind of looked like the Judas effect that Chris Jericho does in AEW. However, it was a lot slower, and Chris Jericho's Judas effect back elbow is slow as well because of his age. So Aleister Black really doesn't have much of an excuse here. So he does a slow back elbow. Kevin Owens takes it to the chin, and then he hits him with the Black Mass, which is like a reverse spinning roundhouse kick. Kevin Owens goes down. Aleister Black just sort of looks around the arena, and the commentators actually ask why. And I realised that Corey Graves said that at the exact same time my brain thought it. It's like, why? Aleister Black was a face. Okay, he's a goth, he's a Satanist, whatever, but he was a face.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he took an eye injury and he's turned.
I was never too interested on him.
He doesn't grip you at all. I like his entrance.
He was cool. He's cool, definitely. He's got cool tattoos and all that, but
yeah,
they're just not doing him right.
No,
I thought they were going to do a bit of a gimmick change after this.
I was hoping for,
maybe like a Dark Order-esque kind of character.
Yeah.
Just like this, just adding Satanism to it. But no, they're just
something.
They just took him off for a while for some reason.
Yeah. Right, so after that segment we move on to now this image that's on the screen just now. I'll explain why. So we have a 24/7 championship title match, fatal 4-way with Akira Tozawa, Shelton Benjamin, R-Truth and Cedric Alexander. The match was rubbish. The idea that you put a 24/7 defended belt in a sanctioned match is stupid.
Yep.
Tozawa wins. That's stupid. Give it to R-Truth. He was the only guy who actually put any sort of comedy into it. He's the only guy who put effort into having the 24/7 belt.
He just cares about what people like about the belt.
He cares more about the fans than his... I'm not going to say his career, because obviously his career is skyrocketing because he is the funny guy. And he's done really well, because when he started out as K-Quick, Jim Ross told him that he wasn't going to go very far because wrestling was a white man's business. That was definitely... I've found that out quite recently through the sort of wrestling forums and stuff, and reading through JR's book and stuff. Now JR's bookie obviously doesn't outright say I said wrestling's a white man's business, but he does have a discussion with some new talent, and round about that time new talent was R-Truth being K-Quick at that point. Anyway, so the picture that's on the screen for those of you who don't have visual is the WWF Hardcore Champion Crash Holly, who was the first and the greatest 24/7 champion before it was called the 24/7 belt.
Yeah.
Crash Holly won the Hardcore Championship in such a surprise way because nobody expected. I mean, the guy's maybe just over 5 foot. He carries around this scale because he would try and convince people that he was 400 pounds. Now, to put that into perspective, Rikishi is just over 400 pounds. You know, Braun Strowman is just over 300 pounds. So there's no way Crash Holly was 400 pounds solid.
So he's the joke character.
He was R-Truth before R-Truth was there. He was always referred to as a small boy. He's a grown man. I think in the picture that's on the screen just now, where he's in his prime of his career with WWF, he is early 30s. But because he's so small and he didn't really have much of a build, he was quite skinny. When he was put in matches against JBL, commentators would refer to him as a small boy, or JBL is committing child abuse.
Oh.
So they buried him and he made that work. And he issued that the Hardcore Championship must be defended 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that was it. He was the first 24/7 champion, and it was fantastic. And R-Truth has done quite well making the belt what it should be, which is funny. However, WWE keep booking sanctioned matches. They keep giving it to people that are too serious.
If they want to put 4 people in a match, you can do a comedy bit where they each individual one tries to I don't know, like catch them by surprise, but like, oh no, they all done it at the same time, so then it becomes a 4-way match where they're all fighting each other.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a match. It could just be a 4-way fight.
Yeah, that's just happened.
Yeah, backstage or out in a fast food restaurant or something.
Fights someone. He runs away and then they see another person wants to fight him. He fights him and then runs away. Another person wants to just be creative with it.
Exactly.
But like they're just putting sanctioned matches.
There has not been a change of title outside of the arena for this year. I don't think it's changed hands this year. That's been outside of the arena, whether it's a sanctioned match or a sneaky roll up on the walk back to the ring. But last year, your 24/7 champion was a guy called Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick was this really short guy. He wasn't going anywhere. WWE actually had a moment where he would piss himself, and you seen it going down his leg because he was wearing like grey joggies. So he was your comedy guy, and him and R-Truth were it was like every day there would be a social media video of one of them losing it to the other.
Yeah.
And it was back and forth. Drake Maverick wore the 24/7 belt to his wedding. Underneath his I think it was like an Indian robe or something, because he was doing a traditional Indian wedding for his wife. So he's wearing it like underneath, and he gets pinned, and the referee takes it from underneath the robe, and it's like, well, R-Truth wins, and then we see Drake Maverick wins it back through other means, and he takes it on his honeymoon and stuff like that. So we have our regular Congosaurus who's joined us just now. I'm just going to fix my laptop for a second. So yep, Drake Maverick did some good stuff with it, but nobody else has. R-Truth and Drake Maverick, that's it, man. Unfortunately, that's all they've given us.
Yeah, she's just upsetting, but maybe they're gonna try and do something else with
maybe.
R-Truth. I don't know why I forgot that. I love him.
R-Truth.
Yeah. Because like now that he's done all this 24/7 stuff, maybe it's finally time for him to go up, ascend.
I would love to see.
I would like to see an Intercontinental.
Yeah, I would love to see R-Truth hold a bit of a higher up level of gold if they don't give him the 24/7 title back.
Yeah.
But I do feel Drake Maverick, who's in NXT just now, you don't have to bring him up to the main roster. he can, it's the same arena now.
Yeah.
So give him a shot at the 24/7 title outside of a sanctioned match. Just put it back on him so he can do some more social media stuff with it, because that's where it all was. Anyway, we get the poor 24/7 title match. Tozawa wins. Big whoop. Randy Orton then gets in the ring, cuts a promo on his actions towards Drew McIntyre earlier in the show, and we get the debut of Keith Lee,
who looks like he's wearing a skirt,
a
short skirt.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure what that is. I barely noticed it when I was watching this, but now that I'm seeing the still image,
shorts, but,
yeah. Anyway, so Keith Lee comes out to new theme music, which
nobody likes.
I don't like it, but I'm open to it. Well, they're not going to change it back, I don't think, so I'm open on it growing on me. And a new ring gear, because now this is complete speculation and rumours and Chinese whispers and stuff. The reason he comes out to new ring gear is because Vince McMahon isn't confident he's going to go over well with the fans because of his weight. Which is rubbish, because all Vince has to do is sit down and watch an episode of NXT.
Yeah.
The guy was over as fuck, and then now Vince is like, nah, he's not going to be good with the fans.
Triple H is probably pissed right now because...
I imagine Triple H is really angry, because when was the last time Triple H allowed somebody up to the main roster that went well before Finn, take Finn Balor out of the equation, who was brought up that succeeded, because Ricochet didn't last long in the limelight. Cedric Alexander went straight onto 205 Live for such a long time. He's only just now.
Drew McIntyre was in NXT, wasn't he?
Drew McIntyre was in NXT, then he was Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard.
Yeah.
So I go, okay, he didn't start out with the best call up to the main roster, but he is now finished. Congosaurus jumping in just to say the new theme is completely generic. They've changed basically everything about him, even the way he speaks. I might have to watch a bit more of his main roster to come up with an opinion on that one. I wasn't really focused on how he was speaking, so I may have missed that. But yes, his theme song sounds like one of the bog standard theme songs you get in the 2K games when you create a wrestler, like Steel 1 or Heavy Metal 2, something like that. Just for that's what they've given him. So yep, he comes out and challenges Orton to a match, because Orton's a bit of a cocky dick just now, punt kicking everybody. To which Randy Orton responds, "Maybe later," which I would, okay, yes or no, mate, just.
But the thing is, this is a promo, and then they're going to Randy Orton and say, "Nah, another time."
It's like, I challenge you to a match. How do you respond? And then Randy Orton just goes, "Eh."
Yeah,
we'll see.
How's that a promo? That's just.
It started off quite well, because it was same old sort of legend killer spiel that he's been given, which isn't getting old. I just said same old, but I enjoy this. I enjoy his legend killer stuff.
Why don't they start off with Keith and Dolph? Because what's Dolph doing?
Well, Dolph is kicking ass in the Underground.
Oh yeah, he's doing Underground, but who cares about Underground?
Exactly.
So Keith and Dolph would have been a good start, because Dolph is well known.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like him, but he's not top. He's not top corner.
When I was watching this week's Raw, and you were getting bits in between, it was like Raw Underground, Raw Underground. I just thought, why not, when Raw is done, put on an hour and a half long episode of Raw Underground?
Yeah.
So you're not watching a match that you don't really get to focus on, and then straight after that you've got, a feud match with Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins or something like that. For example, stop cutting in between and just have boom, Raw Underground starts at whatever time. Come if you dare. I don't know. Do something with it, because it was interesting. It piqued my interest, and now you've lost me again.
Yeah.
Much like Retribution, you piqued my interest and then you disappointed me. But that's just
a lot,
WWE fashion.
A lot of things are like that in wrestling right now. Just interest, peaked, lost, because Keith Lee.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh.
He's got 2 belts. Oh no, he vacated one. Oh no, he lost the other one 19 days later. Oh well.
Oh well, that was in preparation to bring him up to the main roster though.
I know, but
what else? What else do we think was interesting? And then just
so you had Retribution, you had
Keith
Lee, you have Underground. Impact interest me, and now they've lost me again.
Shelton Benjamin was like, "Oh, you won! Oh, okay." Now he's
first match in 14 years. Oh, okay. He's lost again. Yeah, so we have Keith Lee and Randy Orton doing a wee bit of a promo. Keith Lee challenges Randy to a match, but Randy responds maybe later. I just thought there was a lot of build up, and I don't mind your heel being nonchalant.
But that's not nonchalant.
No, that's not nonchalant. That's just
bad writing.
Poor writing. But speaking of poor writing, put up the next picture, look, because we have an arm wrestling contest between Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews with your special guest referee Mark Henry. This is why he's been backstage. I imagine Mark Henry's been backstage for the past 4 weeks trying to talk them out of doing this segment.
Oh God.
I mean, Mark Henry's done some weird stuff in his time, like going to sex therapy and admitting to...
But that's when it was out of his control.
Out of his control. I mean, I still watch that entertained, even though it was so... I'm like, you're the world's strongest man. Look at you admitting to losing your virginity to your sister. That's such a weird storyline to give Mark Henry, but... almost as weird as Mark Henry's previous storylines, he is the special guest referee for an arm wrestling contest. Crews wins. The Hurt Business come in to back up Bobby Lashley. Crews escapes. It's the same old stuff, except they've just turned it into an arm wrestling contest rather than a wrestling match. They've taken away the only wrestling that's left in this feud anymore, and they've just went, okay, we'll finish it the same, we'll start it the same, but instead of a wrestling match, which is what our people want to see, we'll give them an arm wrestling match.
And then you get to see that bad belt again.
I mean, fucking next week, what is it, thumb wrestling that they do? And then they go down to like that game where you flick the paper triangle into the goalpost. Like,
then they're going to do 20 questions or something.
20 questions, Mark Henry's just there for the paycheck. So yeah, that was absolutely crap. Then we take a brief visit down Raw Underground Lane. I don't have an image for this. It is a brief visit, people.
Okay, very brief.
Yeah, very brief visit where we have Bobby Lashley beating up a jobber, and then. So what I imagine happened, and I may have missed this in the stream that I was watching. What I imagine happened is that Bobby Lashley lost that match. The arm wrestling match, and in his rage for the booking went to the Raw Underground, which looks as if it's in the same arena. It's maybe like, you know, you go backstage, you go through one door, you walk around the corridor, and then there's just a sign that says Raw Underground, or maybe Shane standing out there trying to entice people in. come to Raw. It's like one of those spinning signs, Raw Underground. So Bobby Lashley goes in there, beats up a couple of jobbers, and then beats up Dolph Ziggler. So Dolph Ziggler, that's what he's doing now.
So he's just in Raw Underground?
He just seems to be in Raw Underground.
But why?
You know, totally.
But like, we don't know a direction, they're just doing stuff, and it's just so weird.
I would like to see, I would like to see some storylines in Raw Underground.
Yeah.
I don't mean cartoony storylines like the Hurt Business and Apollo Crews. I don't want to see that. What I want to see is UFC level storylines where, they'll do a press conference and it's like, oh, competitor A, what do you feel about your chances on next week's Raw Underground? And I want that guy to lean forward and slag the other guy. Then the other guy gets a chance to come back, and then they get a weigh-in, and then they get a bare knuckle fight. Like, because right now it's just there's no stories. There's no. I keep forgetting people's names. Because there's no introductions, there's no...
Yeah. So they give one person an introduction, right?
Yeah, the only people I know are the people who are on WWE, and I just feel like I'm missing much. Congosaurus, the big guy that they featured in the first couple of weeks, has disappeared. That's true, they had somebody from NXT, and they gave him this weird sort of tribal name, like a Samoan thing. Like, it was like he had one part of a name and then an apostrophe, then another part, like a fucking Klingon.
Just a weird.
Yeah, just a weird sort of name. And as Congasori says, he's gone. He was this big Lance Archer looking guy who I think Dolph tried to choke him out and he just dropped him in his head and now he's just up to disappeared. So, as I said, that was a very brief visit to the Raw Underground. We move on to Keith Lee versus Randy Orton actually getting their, air quotes, maybe later match. Yeah, fucking, you get a wrestling match in between and then they actually do get their match. You know, they sort of they changed my opinion on Raw after this match. It was really good. It was good having Keith Lee facing off against somebody who's been in the business as long as Randy Orton, somebody that's got as much experience as Randy Orton. You know, both guys just put on a really good performance.
But it's not the Keith Lee that we know.
It's not the Keith Lee that we know. But I think having him fight the Randy Orton that we know did kind of save it a little. But I think I think you could say that I'm looking for the good. I'm looking for the diamond in the massive pile of cowpat that WWE are giving us just now. But yeah, I would say they put on a good match, but if it wasn't for what they've done to Keith Lee, it probably would have been 100 times better. We do have a really, really good moment where Keith Lee catches Randy Orton's fist mid-punch. And God, that was just a great moment, and Randy Orton sells it so well. Obviously, Keith Lee is a big guy, he's a strong guy. I don't think he's strong enough to crush somebody's fist, but Randy Orton sells it so well that it just looks really good. Like it does genuinely. His bones are being crushed in his hand, basically.
What do you think about his gear right now, like in ring? So he's still got like kind of weird shorts. What do you think about him wearing a shirt? Is it that bad?
I don't think it's that bad to put him in a shirt, but when I look at the shirt, all I can hear is Vince's voice.
Yeah.
No, he's too fat. Put a t-shirt on him. The fans won't go for it. And then as soon as he puts on a t-shirt, and then fucking CFO dollar sign, the people that do the music, play this generic rock song, Vince just sits back in his office chair and goes, "That's some good shit." And it's like, right, okay, I get it, Vince. You've got a unique way of thinking, Vince, but come on, man. You're on social media. You've got a Twitter. You say happy birthday to everybody, apart from Shane. You say happy birthday to everybody. You know, look at follow some trends when WWE's trending, follow it. When you've got pay-per-views trending, follow it. Keep an eye on what your fans are looking for, because we're not getting it. And I'm saying Vince. It could very well be that Kevin Dunn still plays a big part in the creative process. It could be that the writers aren't running things by Vince and Vince is not really caring, but
he's still the top guy.
He's still the top guy. He still appears on TV. He was on SmackDown this week and he was on SmackDown last week.
On WrestleMania, he was there.
He was there at WrestleMania. He did that thing. I don't know if you've seen the backstage video where he throws himself off.
Yeah. He showed himself how to take a. He showed someone how to take a bump.
He takes a bump off a, I don't know, what would maybe like a 12-foot podium or something like that. Like, he's still in the business. I just don't feel that there's much care coming for the business anymore.
Yeah.
So that's about as much as I've got to say. The match ends with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre runs in and drags Randy Orton out of the ring before Randy Orton can, because he starts to get back to the momentum of it, and starts to sort of overpower Keith Lee a wee bit after that really cool anime fist catching punch thing that they did. So Drew comes out, pulls Randy out of the ring, and Keith Lee gets the disqualification. Oh no, sorry, Randy Orton gets the disqualification because the referee views it as Drew McIntyre helping Keith Lee. So Randy Orton wins by DQ, which I'll be honest, on Lee's debut match, I'd rather the disqualification than
Yeah, because
taking a loss,
it's his first
or getting a win. Because if he gets a win over Randy Orton, what are they going to do now? What comes after that? Congosaurus, word was that Raw was still being rewritten after it had started. That's not news to my ears. That happens quite a lot. SmackDown as well. SmackDown is, I think SmackDown for the past few weeks is just being written as it's live, which is just poor writing.
WrestleMania kind of felt like it was written at the time. As I was saying, like many times, it just feels like we're an episode ahead.
Yeah.
Like, this shouldn't feel like a pay-per-view, but here it is, or like this should feel like a pay-per-view, but here it is. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's not great just now. So we go back into the Asuka Banks Bayley pot.
Where they have like a match every single episode, every single pay-per-view, and it's the same thing.
I mean, there was I haven't written any notes down in this, but before this we had another tag match, Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza, where Selena Vega gets involved again. And the reason I've not taken any notes on it is because I feel that the notes I mentioned last week or the week before are the same.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. It's the same. It's filling time. And you know what? Raw has always been the longer of the two shows. But it doesn't have to be, because you're not using your time to tell any more stories. They're just filling it with guff. And it gets more annoying every episode you watch. So the only change to this one is they made it a lumberjack match, which is where they have other competitors from the locker room around the ring, and whenever one of them falls out of the ring, they are open to being beat up. Which would be good if there was more people I cared about backstage. The people you've got in the back, the people you've got around the ring just now are Lana, Natalya, who I've not seen have a match in a while. I mean, apart from their vocal feud, their verbal feud that they've got going on with Mickie James, they're not really doing anything. So you've got Natalya, Lana, Shayna Baszler, the Iconics, and basically all these people that aren't in storylines, this is all the TV time they're going to get as a stupid lumberjack match.
Because we're looking at the same match all the time.
Yeah.
Just that. Surely they're tired of wrestling each other at this point.
There was a lumberjack match quite a while ago, I think, and I think it was round about the time there was the new Nexus, and they were doing a lumberjack match, and somebody on the outside of the ring, I want to say it was Curtis Axel, yawned right on camera. Because the match that they were doing the lumberjack on was a feud that had been going on for absolutely ages. And honestly, I can't even remember anything else about it. I don't know who was fighting. I don't know who else was lumberjacks. All I remember is Curtis Axel on the hard cam just giving a big ol' yawn because of how boring it was. And a lot of the fans at home watching it would have seen him and probably felt the exact same way. So Banks comes into the arena and she's got a nice wee pyro display. There was some pyro earlier on as well, which the thing's completely indoors. Fire alarms are going to get set off eventually if they keep doing that. So you get a wee bit of pyro. The commentary team start to discuss the threat of Baszler and Nia Jax being a tag team against Bayley and Banks.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Stop trying to build it. You've thrown it together as if you've got nothing else to do. Don't try and build on absolutely nothing. Banks unloads on Asuka, who then catches the boss with a super kick. Delivers a jumping DDT off the middle rope for a 2 count. Banks escapes an ankle lock. I've taken notes of all the moves that I quite enjoyed, but see, now that I'm reading through them, the match was rubbish. I'm looking through it and I'm just thinking, it was good, but it's not now. It was good, it was now. There was a frog splash.
I watched a bit of it.
Yeah. Same old storyline.
I don't want to watch these people wrestle, and I'm excited to see the tag team feud because it's going to be something different and it's going to be different people wrestling. But seeing Asuka wrestle right now is just not interesting.
Seeing her wrestle every so often was like, oh cool, there's Asuka. Oh, look at that move. Oh, look at that, she's doing that. Oh wow, Asuka. Seeing her week in, week out, it's like, oh, there she's there.
We know she's the better performer. It's just I don't care anymore.
I know they're losing us. So we go a little bit more down the avenue of Raw Underground, where the Hurt Business are dominating again. Yeah. That's it. Honestly, I don't know who's writing for Raw Underground. I don't know if it's Shane or I don't know if somebody's writing it for him.
The way Shane is right now, I think it is Shane.
Stop bringing in people that are already established on the main roster. Make Raw Underground its own show. Give it its own fan base. You're probably going to get people that are like, I don't like wrestling because it's scripted and cartoony and that. But you might be able to entice them into Raw Underground if you made it look more real.
Get a new audience.
Get a new audience. You know, build your competitors. You don't even need a title because the title is I beat up 6 people in a row. You know, the title isn't. There's no physical title. There's no top dog. There's no babyface. There's no heel. Whoever beats up the most people is the champion.
Yeah.
You know, in a bare knuckle fight like that. So, Raw Underground rubbish. Just now anyway. Mysterio, father and son versus Rollins and Murphy.
Don't care.
Not losing it. Losing it again, losing its momentum. Congosaurus is just jumping in there. That's at least twice, maybe 3 times that the Hurt Business have been embarrassed by Cruz and then got to Raw Underground and claim business is booming. Absolutely correct, Congosaurus man, absolutely correct. That is how it's been going. So, you know, for future reference, people, whenever you're watching Raw and Apollo Crews is having a bad night, just wait for Underground, because business is booming, apparently. So again, I watched this match and the worst performance was from Dominic, and I'm going to say that's because he's new, and it was the same fighting style that he put on at SummerSlam. His matches were very clean, they were very by the book, were very to the letter. You know, the dots, the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, but there's no personality.
It doesn't feel like someone's fighting it.
No, it's like a robot.
Yeah.
A robot that's been given wrestling lessons.
And for your dad to be the top luchador.
No. Yeah. So, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, a good back and forth between them. They both hit a 619, right? Now I wrote it down as Dom and Rey perform a double 619, and then I decided to try and spice it up a bit. I'm going to call it the 1-2-3-8 because that is double 619.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it. They're not going to do it for me, although I imagine I thought that would be something WWE do.
Does he still have a suit?
Still have a suit. Congosaurus is saying it's still a stupid hood. Absolutely correct, man. It is a stupid hood. He must have fixed it like 4 times. We counted it at SummerSlam, and I think it was like.
Did we count it? I don't remember counting.
Maybe I counted it then. I counted.
You must have counted that because I just knew that it was going to be.
I counted 8 times he had to adjust the hood.
And then every single time you watched him adjust the hood, it was just like, oh, I need to do that again.
Yeah, it's like just take it off, man. Take off the jacket. Seth Rollins took off the jacket for him later in the match to hit him with a candlestick. I imagine Seth Rollins probably got him in a headlock and said, "Listen, looks like the hood's really annoying you. I'm going to take it off for you." Because it was honestly, it was horrible to watch. It just takes you out of it. Yep. So the show ends in a no contest because Retribution hit the ring.
Yay!
I mean, apart from closing the show, I've lost interest in Retribution already again. Okay, so moving on to my favourite show. There's always something in Dynamite that reinvigorates my faith in wrestling just now. And I think it's quite good to watch Monday Night Raw, which is really bad, and then watch Dynamite, which is really good. It's like, oh, thank you. There's still some good wrestling out there. So we have a tag team gauntlet match.
So much tag team stuff going on.
Yeah, tag team appreciation was a couple of weeks ago. I would have maybe just left the stories there. But we have a tag team gauntlet match. We start off with... Oh, first of all, we start off with the GOAT joining the commentary table, which already, as soon as Dynamite starts with Chris Jericho sitting down at commentary, I am buzzing. I'm ready to go, man.
How can you not be?
Chris Jericho is like...
Jericho?
Yeah, it's Chris Jericho, man. It's Samoa Joe is trying to be the next Chris Jericho on commentary, but so he's not going to get there just now. So we start off with the Young Bucks taking on the Natural Nightmares, which is Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall. I don't really love watching Dustin Rhodes in tag team matches with anyone that isn't Cody. I think they've only had a couple of matches in Dynamite, in AEW, where they were a team together. But watching Dustin Rhodes on his own,
still good.
What the guy's early 50s, late 50s, absolute legend. He's never lost it, you know, and he did go through a bit of a hard spell, you know, with the storylines back in the Attitude Era and stuff, where he was Goldust, but then he went to ECW and became Dustin Rhodes, just WCW. It was either ECW or WCW. He went to one of them.
I think it's ECW.
You think it's ECW?
I remember. I don't think it was WCW because he would have been right back into WWE.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So it must have been ECW then. So he went to ECW. He took off all the gold face paint and he was Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
And he put on the exact same level of performance that he still does today, and it's amazing to watch. However, they are not...
Yeah, he was in WCW before Goldust, but not after.
Yes, thank you, Congosaurus, for that. So he was in WCW before Goldust, but he went to ECW then, which as Luke said, that was probably that was the right one. Went to ECW, took off the gold paint, and him and his dad, you know, the American Dream, they put on really great storylines and really good matches. So they got going back to the Dynamite, the gauntlet match here. The Young Bucks and Natural Nightmares start off, and I thought watching Dustin is always a pleasure. However, the Natural Nightmares just now aren't in the title scene for the tag team belts, so they get eliminated first. In comes the Best Friends. Jericho comments on what kind of a team name is Best Friends. They would stab each other in the back for a paycheck. Which, I don't know, there was something about Chris Jericho. He buries the good guys really well, and he builds up the bad guys really well, but he still keeps himself on top.
Yeah.
Like, he still keeps the inner circle as the best. But FTR are really good. The Young Bucks are punks, the Young Bucks are stupid. The Young Bucks are like 40. And so he's really good on commentary. He's probably the best thing about this gauntlet match, really, I'll be honest. So, the Young Bucks, they get eliminated by Best Friends, so then FTR jump in, and FTR get the victory overall. We get a bit of an interruption from Hangman Adam Page. He appears out of nowhere and holds Nick Jackson's leg, which is how they end up losing the match to Best Friends, and Best Friends subsequently lose to FTR, who now are with Tully Blanchard, who was Sean Spears' manager, but it seems to be they're building to some sort of next generation Four Horsemen storyline, which I'll be quite into. After that, we've got Lance Archer, who has a quick squash match against fucking Johnny Nobody. I don't remember the guy's name. Some guy. The best thing about this was watching Lance Archer throw this guy about the ring. I love a squash match with a big guy like Lance Archer, with a big guy like Braun Strowman, with a big guy like the NXT guy that was in Raw Underground. Just watching a big guy beat up, you know, absolute nobodies, it always brings me a little bit of joy. So after the match is over, Jake the Snake Roberts makes his way to the ring and announces that Lance Archer is the most feared person who will enter the Casino Battle Royale, which is their thing that they're doing at All In.
They're doing a battle royale.
They're doing a battle royale, but they're calling it the Casino Battle Royale.
But it's a battle royale.
It's just a battle royale, exactly.
But why did he think a battle royale is good to do? Why don't they do a Royal
I'm not sure who's in the Battle Royale apart from Lance Archer. I might have. I'll need to look into that.
Like, I would probably be okay with a Battle Royale if it isn't like 20 people. Like, if it's like 10 people, wouldn't be bad, because you like actually get to see what's going on. But
have we ever watched one of the Andre the Giant Battle Royales?
Yeah, well,
they are so bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Luke Harper, that was his last match in WWE.
It was
a Battle Royale.
Yeah.
And with my ginger guy and all that. But
yeah. So anyway,
it's just
I know you're not looking forward to it.
I don't like Battle Royales.
So yes, Taz, sorry, Ricky Starks comes out to interrupt, but Darby Allin jumps on him, and they end up going backstage, and we don't really see too much after that. However, Taz and Brian Cage make their way to the ring, and Taz is sort of building up Brian Cage. Brian Cage and Lance Archer square off against each other. As you can see in the image that's on the screen, we've got Jake the Snake Roberts and Taz, who's trying to go for the MCU camouflage, which is sunglasses and a hat. Apparently, that's how superheroes can hide from the public in the Marvel universe. Sunglasses and a hat to I pretend he's not Taz. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Apart from he tries to look cool, but he's short and he's fat. He's doing his best.
Congo says the Battle Royale will likely just be to get as many people on the pay-per-view. Never seen a good Battle Royale. Royal Battle Royale.
I agree with you, but there has to be a good Battle Royale. There has to be. Surely. The
there's no premise of a Battle Royal or whatever is that there's a lot of people in it, and when you try to do too much is when it's not good. Because like a 1-on-1 match is like less is more, because you get more of the experience with the two wrestlers, but this is just so many people and nobody cares.
So many people all trying to do their own spots at their own time, to which point you could have a guy in the left hand corner doing a really cool spot while you're in the right hand corner trying to do a tornado DDT. Who are the fans going to look at? There's got to be a good one out there, but
the amount of people.
Yeah, I would say there's got to be a good one out there, but I can't think of one, which makes me think there's not. But anyway, Taz and Jake Roberts separate their clients, Archer and Cage, and the live audience. We'll get to that. The live audience start to chant "Let them fight," and it is like two big kaiju monsters. Like Brian Cage is just a tank, and then Lance Archer's like 7 foot tall. I'd love to see them fight just one on one. That'd be really good.
That looks good.
So yes, AEW did have a live audience there. I believe they sold like 150 tickets, which was their maximum, and there was a lot of pictures of people putting up, because obviously when they said they're going to bring out a live audience, you had people on Twitter and Facebook and all your socials saying how that's a bad idea, it's dangerous, that's like Chris Jericho putting on a concert, irresponsible, blah 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 blah. However, when you actually look at the social media pictures that the people who were there live are putting up, there was so much space in between them.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to show you the empty seats. So what we've not seen is how big Davies Place is, which is the arena they always film in, and it is really big. So, imagine just having a couple of people in that stand, a couple of people in that stand, a couple of people there, a couple of people there. There's loads of spaces to socially distance, and you can see in the pictures that there was nobody that was too close unless they were in the same household. So, I don't think they were irresponsible. I don't think they were losing out on too much money. So I'm not going to say that it was overly beneficial money-wise, but I think what they're doing is they're testing the boundaries. They're seeing, if we open this to a live studio audience, are we going to get much of a buzz on the first ticket sales? And they did. Yeah. Sold out almost instantaneously.
It's like a cinema, There's a good amount of social distancing, because I've been to a cinema since like we were allowed to.
Yeah.
And people are far away, man. Like there's no one close. I don't know. I think you can do stuff like this right now, but
I think people need to be given a bit more independence to see how responsible they can be, because a lot of people just now during this lockdown and pandemic are being responsible when they go out, are being responsible when they're around other people, and I just think that, alright, Chris Jericho putting on a concert was maybe pushing the envelope a bit too much, but what AEW done I thought was great.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, was a great idea. Anyway, going back to the show itself, we have MJF and Jon Moxley doing a contract signing. Great mic work from the both of them. Obviously, Jon Moxley isn't your typical face. He talks about killing people. He talks about destroying people, but he's not your heel either.
No.
Your heel is MJF talking about how he's better than everybody, and they know it. You can see there that he's got his Burberry scarf laid out, on a walker, because he sustained the neck injury from a Paradigm Shift. And I love MJF, and in this segment especially, the fact that he mentioned Renee Young was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it was a couple of days since she left WWE, and he jumped straight on that bandwagon. He put up it was a wee bit weird. He took a picture of Renee Young from social media where she's in a bikini, and he put that up on his Facebook page, and he was like, "Hi John, looking forward to meeting you to do the contract signing. Seen as your gal is now unemployed. Reminder that I'm still single." It's like, he's great on social media. He's probably the best person on social media just now.
Yeah.
So we get MJF.
He's just willing to do whatever the hell he wants. He flipped off a kid, and then the father got mad, and he just didn't care.
No, that's it. He's a great heel. I really hope they never do an MJF face turn.
It's not going to work.
I just feel like it's not going to work. He has to be a heel. So we've got MJF and Jon Moxley doing back and forward. The contract signing isn't just for the match that they're having it all out. The contract signing is also to ban the Paradigm Shift. So to ban Jon Moxley's finisher, his Dirty Deeds, his DDT, whatever you want to call it, to ban that from the match. If he uses it, he instantly loses. If he doesn't sign the contract, MJF will sue him for everything that he owns, which in hand is the AEW title, as well as like his house, his car, and all that jazz. So Jon Moxley mentions that as much as he wants to use the Paradigm Shift because he hates MJF and he just wants to put his face through the ground and kill him, he will sign it just so that they can have the match.
Do you think they'll try and give him a new signature move during it?
I'm not sure. I think MJF might go for the Paradigm Shift and it won't work out, and I think Jon Moxley will be able to turn that around and do something with it. They tried to do this in WWE where Randy Orton wasn't allowed to do the RKO versus Seth Rollins, and then they did. I can't really remember the outcome of the match, but Randy Orton done the RKO on Kane, who tried to interfere, and the referee called it as a disqualification, and Seth won. But the fans were like, well, no, because that's not what your contract said.
Yeah.
It's like they had forgotten their own story. Whereas in this, I think they'll probably do this quite well.
Yeah. I think they'll put a lot of thought into it.
Probably the greatest thing that happens in this segment, because contract signing, what can you do with a contract signing that doesn't end in the bad guy doing something sneaky, or the good guy being frustrated where he then attacks the bad guy? And somebody always goes through the table at a contract signing. Au contraire, AEW Dynamite like to do something a little bit different. Jon Moxley leaves peacefully. MJF notices that the contract has a new stipulation added to the end, where next week on Dynamite, Jon Moxley will face MJF's lawyer. who's that guy there with the silver hair in the picture? He's not a wrestler. He's probably a backstage. He's probably got independent work. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about the guy. I've never seen him before. He was really good on the mic last week on Dynamite, because MJF claimed he was getting too choked up, because he was talking about. I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here. So MJF was at this podium backstage. The cameras were on him. And he mentioned that, because he had the neck brace on, I'll remind you all he had the neck brace on, and he's talking about how his grandkids are going to ask him to play ball, and he's going to say, I'm sorry, little Timmy, I can't play ball, because Jon Moxley has ruined my spine and my neck, and I can't play with you. And I know it was great. So he claimed he was getting too choked up, to which the lawyer then jumped in and said he was going to read out what MJF had written down, but he put in so much passion and aggression where it did seem as if the feud was between the lawyer and Moxley rather than MJF. So MJF standing there wiping away tears and trying to catch his breath and stuff, and this lawyer's actually screaming at the camera at Jon Moxley, claiming that it's just what MJF has written down. So the match is going to be between the lawyer and Jon Moxley next week on Dynamite. If the lawyer doesn't compete or doesn't show up, the match All Out is cancelled. So I think that's going to be hilarious. I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's just going to be comedy gold.
And it's something different. An evolution where it's not just throw someone through the table.
Yeah,
because that's what I was saying at the debate thing. Just like, okay, let's not try and make it into a fight and actually do something with it.
It's not your typical. It's not a segment where at the start of it you already know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
I mean, I did assume that Wardlow was going to get put through the table, or even one of the guys in the background. Like, you've got the girl who keeps forgetting to smile. You've got the guy that MJF spits gum into his hand when he's done chewing it. And then you've got the lawyer and stuff like that. So I was expecting somebody to be put through the table. But no, they did this really, really interesting thing. Yeah, very unique take. So we get an 8-man tag team match with my favourite sort of double tag team mashup, the Lucha Brothers and Butcher and Blade. Honestly, these guys have got such great chemistry. They put on such a great performance. I would like to see them have their own 4-man name. I just feel that maybe AEW's got too many factions just now. You've got the Nightmare Family. You've got this possible 4 horsemen thing they're building
Order.
You've got the Dark Order. You've got Taz and his little unit, which people are calling the FTR, which is Taz, Cage and Starks. Dark Order, as you said, Luke. So there's maybe just too many factions just now, but I feel that they would work really well, especially now that they've got Eddie Kingston as their manager, who was the guy 3 or 4 weeks ago on Dynamite, had a TNT shot with Cody, and he was talking about how Cody grew up around wrestling legends and he grew up around celebrities, whereas he grew up around alcoholics and junkies, and a lot of people were like, yeah, I like you. So Eddie Kingston, I think, is going to be really great. When lockdown started, just before lockdown started, the Lucha Brothers and Pac, also known as Neville in the WWE, had teamed up, and they were called the Death Triangle. They had this really great they had this really great theme song. There was a bit of a mashup between both, but it worked really well. And it's got a voice who opens the theme song, and it's very similar to the voice that does the Call of Duty Zombies. So they have this voice. It starts off great. The Titantron was great, and then they said that Excalibur was going to be their manager, who's the guy that wears the luchador mask on it. So they said that he was going to be their manager, but we have not seen Pac since lockdown started. I don't know if he went back to the UK to visit family and just because of restrictions hasn't been able to come back, or if he is self-isolating or shielding or whatever, but we've not seen Pac. And I feel that although yes, we did miss an opportunity with the Death Triangle that they were going for, they have adapted really well by putting 2 teams who I wouldn't have put together. And they're both heel teams, but heel teams don't team up because they're heels.
No.
They hate each other as well as all the faces. Whereas they've mashed these guys together. They've now signed Eddie Kingston and put him in the manager position, and I'm so excited for what they do with this. So they go up against Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison.
Is that like a woman and a male playing like, as a tag team together?
Sonny Kiss?
Yeah.
Sonny Kiss is a man.
Ah.
Sonny Kiss is a very effeminate, camp, gay man.
Okay.
A lot of people assumed that he was trans because of how effeminate he was, but no, he's just.
I thought from that image, he was a woman.
Well, he wears attire that a female wrestler would wear. He walks and performs like a female wrestler, but because he has cheerleader backgrounds and gymnastic background, his performances are tremendous.
Yeah.
One of his, it's either a signature or a finisher. He does a top rope maneuver, so he jumps from the top rope, so he's maybe like 6 or 7 feet off the ground, and he lands in the splits on his opponent, and it always makes me cross my legs and cringe because I'm like, oh, ow.
That should hurt.
It should hurt, but he does this day in, day out for like AEW Dark and stuff like that. So this is the first time we have Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., who have been kicking ass on Dark, appear on Dynamite, actually competing. They're normally in the stands and stuff. So
cool. Well, interesting wrestler.
Yeah.
I thought it was a woman, and I'd be like, cool, that's interesting, a woman in a male match, but okay, well, now that I know it's a guy, it's just informative.
What I'll say is, if Sonny Kiss was in the wrestling business a few years ago, he would have been pushed down and down and down. If Sonny Kiss was wrestling, while you had people like Jerry Lawler or JBL on commentary, he would probably have been bullied out of the company.
Maybe.
But do you know what? It's a new day. It's a new time, a new era. JR is just loving life at the moment.
Okay.
JR had a bit of a shit show a few years ago, so it's like JR doesn't feel negativity anymore. He's just too happy. Anyway, so we have this match, tremendous. Okay. We move on then to the Dark Order and Brody Lee celebrating. We'll just get an image up of that. So there we go. So we get Mr. Brody Lee. That's what he's referred to as. Mr. Brody Lee celebrates his victory over Cody Rhodes for the TNT title. Now, when we were discussing this last week, we thought it's a great opportunity mechanism that Cody was doing. This belt doesn't mean much. It's good to have it. It's good opportunities to put it on matches, but now I feel that because Brody Lee has it, there's going to be some changes and it's going to be good.
There might be an actual storyline going on now.
I'm hoping so. We've got Congosaurus just jumping in the comments section there. Griff has had a match on Dynamite before, I'm sure, although can't remember who against. He did have a match against MJF. I can't remember if that was Dynamite or Dark, but Brian Pillman Jr. hasn't had a match on Dynamite, if I'm right in that. If I remember correctly, he's not had a match on Dynamite. But anyway, these two guys teamed up on Dynamite was great. But TNT title, Brody Lee celebrates it. The Dark Order comes out, Brody Lee comes out. They all, they talk about how the open challenge for the TNT belt is dead. I believe what he says is that it dies with Cody. Cody's not dead. Let's just make that clear. But his run as the TNT champion is dead. So Brody Lee is basically saying there is no rematch for Cody. There is no open challenge. He has that belt until somebody can take that from him, but he's not going to open challenge for anybody. I imagine he will choose his opponent, and then he will try and convince that opponent to join the Dark Order, something like that. I think this is not going to be the first belt. This is not going to be the last belt that the Dark Order hold. So, as much as they're celebrating his victory, he quickly moves on to introduce the newest member of the Dark Order, Anna Jay, who he refers to as the Queenslayer. She is number 99, is the first female in the Dark Order that we know about.
Cool.
Obviously, Brodie Lee tried to explain that the Dark Order isn't everyone in the ring. The Dark Order is followers from around the globe, and the fans of the Dark Order are the Dark Order, and he can call upon them whenever he wants or something. It's interesting what they're doing with the Dark Order.
Do they have do you know if they have any social media stuff? That'd be Dark Order and all that.
Apparently there is a jointhedarkorder.co.uk. I haven't visited it.
I think,
but I would like to think that it's quite a culty thing. Everyone in the Dark Order has a social media presence. They're always very active. Evil Uno, who is the guy that wears the luchador mask with the sort of skull smile around it, he tweets. He Twitch streams gaming and stuff like that.
Okay.
But he does it with the mask on and in his character, so he does it really well. We've got a couple of comments from Congosaurus there. Do you want to read them out, Luke?
Jericho and JR calling her a Jezebel was great though.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Especially the way JR says Jezebel. I don't know if you agree with me, Congosaurus, but it's this old school sort of Texan Jezebel sort of thing that he goes for. I thought it was really. I love hearing him say words similar. I don't know, words similar to Jezebel. I don't know what words are similar to Jezebel, but obviously your longer words are always great, like slobber knocker, rather than just a good match. He calls it a slobber knocker. He coined that term and all that. So yeah, JR and Jericho, great on commentary. Going back to the TNT in the Dark Order sort of celebration, Anna Jay introduces the Queenslayer because of what she done to Brandy Rhodes. Again, if anybody out there hasn't seen the match between Brodie Lee and Cody Rhodes, please watch it. I will not be offended if you pause this or if you tune out and come back after watching the match. But honestly, you have to see it. We didn't really get to talk about it because last week we did our SummerSlam special, so where I discussed the TNT title match between Brodie Lee and Cody Rhodes, it was in note format, and I don't feel I managed to do it justice. So I would definitely recommend this match to you guys. We have QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes, the National Nightmares, come in to sort of avenge Cody and avenge Brandy, but the Dark Order make quite quick work of them. We then get Scorpio Sky, who's in the runnings for the TNT title, who again, he clears the ring of all the sort of Dark Order minions, all of the other numbered guys, but Anna Jay, or number 99, slaps him, stops him dead in his tracks. He doesn't know what to do, and Brodie Lee completely floors the guy. Then we have Matt Cardona, or Zack Ryder. For anyone that doesn't know out there the name Matt Cardona, because we've only seen him a couple of times. So we have Matt Cardona come out and he supports the faces, and the Dark Order retreat, but they retreat with pride, if that makes sense.
Yeah, their work is done.
Yeah, they leave, but they leave with their heads held high. They're quite proud of what happened. After that, we have Sammy Guevara versus Matt Hardy in a tables match. Obviously, they have had their sort of feud that's ongoing, where Sammy, botch or not, he did hit Matt Hardy straight in the face with a steel chair that busted him open, and I believe he had to get something like 18 stitches. But yeah, they've been building this feud, and they stopped after Sammy's suspension, and when he came back, they had ignited it back up again, but they never started from scratch.
Yeah. They
never ignored it. It was literally, they acknowledged that Sammy was away, now he's back, feud's back on. Both of them don't like each other. Hardy gets busted open quite early on. Hardy busts open Sammy quite early on.
Okay.
Most of the match took place during an advert break. Now, depending on how you're watching your Dynamites week in, week out, I'm using Fight TV personally, so when they cut to commercial, the commentators take a break.
Yeah.
But the match itself continues on. So you can hear the audience cheering and booing, but when you've got Jericho and JR on commentary, you kind of want them included, especially when Jericho and Sammy Guevara are teammates.
Yeah.
You kind of want them to discuss it. However, we do get a bit of silence. What I did read though is that those that were watching it on the TNT network missed the match completely. Essentially, they got Sammy Guevara being busted open, and then they got a whole load of adverts, and then they came back, and the match continued on, and they missed quite a bit of it. Hardy misses a dive on Guevara and breaks through a table, and the referee considers the match finished. However, the match can only finish if you do an offensive move on your opponent through the table.
That wasn't offensive, that was...
Exactly, so the match continues, the match continues, the fans are sort of like, yay or boo, because they think that it's finished. The referee kind of isn't sure whether it's finished or not. I'm not sure why they included this spot, to be honest, if they felt they had to explain how a tables match finishes.
Yeah.
If you feel the need for your commentators to explain to those at home watching that the match can only finish through this, it's like,
do you think he meant to hit the table?
I don't believe it was a botch. I think it was genuinely, they did it to, I don't know whether they did it to sort of add a wee bit of suspense, like, oh, that was a short match, but oh, hold on, it's still going, or I'm not sure what their plan was, but I just feel that if you have to have your commentators explain that the match isn't finished, why put the spot in at all?
Yeah, bit odd.
Yeah, a bit odd, I would say. So Matt Hardy pulls at a table that has deleted written on it. And as me and Luke have discussed previously, whenever you pull out a table or whenever you set something up, you're not going to use it. We know you're not going to use it. You know you're not going to use it. So he sets up Sammy Guevara on the table. Sammy gets up, back and forth. Hardy is selling this head injury that he sustained, getting battered through that table. Battering himself through that table, which is why the match didn't end. So Sammy takes this opportunity, puts him through the deleted table, picks up the win, and I probably wouldn't have closed on this match. But what they did do is, instead of just wrapping up the show, they had Orange Cassidy appear from nowhere and attack Chris Jericho, continuing their feud, which they've been mixing the feud up. They're having different matches. They're not just having one-on-one. They're having stipulations. They're having their what do you call it, their debate thing that they had a couple of weeks ago. So they're doing things differently. However, a feud can still run on for too long, and I do really hope that it just ends it all out.
Is Orange Cassidy doing much with the Inner Circle against them? Or?
Not against the Inner Circle. Orange Cassidy's not really doing much with the Best Friends since his feud with Chris Jericho started as well, which is a shame.
It just feels like they're doing their matches, but they're not putting the storytelling in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping. My hopes is for their match at All Out is their last match in the feud. Just wrap it up, people.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how we finish it. We've got a quick picture to add up. So there's Chris Jericho being attacked by Orange Cassidy. That's how they close the show. Orange Cassidy doesn't have his denim jacket on, doesn't have his sunglasses on. He's literally there
Still
to
got
beat up.
A shot of himself.
Still getting the shot of himself within the shot of himself within the shot of himself. Sort of.
I like it.
Orange Cassidy Inception style. So next we move on to NXT.
Karrion Kross had to vacate the title because he got injured in the
Yes,
Keith Lee match.
he certainly did. Suffered a shoulder injury during the Keith Lee match. Nobody's fault. It could happen to anybody. It's just a shame that it happens to Karrion Kross the moment he wins the gold. And it's not a mid-card title, it's not a tag title, it is the top belt in NXT.
And he's only had it for
And he's only had it since Wednesday,
Yeah.
and he had to vacate it. Oh no, he won it on Saturday, vacated it on Wednesday, but he knew he had to vacate it maybe Monday or Tuesday.
Sure.
He knew before all of us. Really sucks. It is an absolute sin what happened. The same thing happened to Balor with the Universal title, and they don't really discuss it much anymore, but they stopped referring to Finn Balor as the first ever Universal Champion. I believe they said that the first ever Universal Champion was whoever won it after Balor, and I can't remember if that was Brock Lesnar or Kevin Owens, but
I don't get that though, but he still was the first Universal Champion.
He was the Universal Champion for 24 hours.
He was the first one.
He was oh yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's just what they did. They just kind of wrote it out of history. But that was a shame, and then this was a shame. Although, a bit of good news, I suppose, to pull from this is there's going to be a really interesting and a really good fatal 4-way Ironman, a 60-minute Ironman match. Now, normally you would think 60 minutes is a long time for a wrestling match, but it depends who's in it.
Yeah. We
have Finn Balor, we have Johnny Gargano, we have Tommaso Ciampa, and we have Adam Cole. Yeah, that's what. So, sorry for anyone who can't see the chat box. We've got Congosaurus jumped in just to say that Kevin Owens won it a week after. Sorry, not a week after. He won it after Finn Balor, and a week after winning it, he announced himself as the longest reigning Universal Champion. Yes, so Kevin Owens claimed to be the longest reigning because he held it for longer than 24 hours, which was Finn Balor. However, Kevin Owens was referred to as the first winner of the Universal title. I don't know if it was Kevin Owens himself that announced it or if it was announced on commentary, just completely shunning out Finn Balor. But going back to NXT, we've got the 60-minute Ironman match, Fatal 4-Way, which is next week, so I will hopefully have a lot to say about that one, considering who's in the match. Yeah, apart from Adam Cole, I love everybody in the match. I just don't like Adam Cole. Agree or disagree with me. I don't like the guy.
Fair enough.
We have a tag team match. Oh yeah, So there's the image on the screen, guys. We've got Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. 4-way 60-minute Ironman match for Super Tuesday NXT Championship. I'd be quite happy if anybody won it apart from Adam Cole, and Adam Cole lost it to Keith Lee, so don't put it on him just now.
Yeah.
Don't put it straight back on the guy that Keith Lee won it from. So we have a tag team title match between Imperium and Breezango, which is Tyler Breeze and Fandango. Now, whenever I think of Fandango, I can only think of the chapter in Chris Jericho's book where he says he was coming back for WrestleMania and he had this really great idea, and Vince said, no, you're going to go up against a new talent. And he put him up against Fandango, whose gimmick was he was a ballroom dancer.
Yeah, I remember him.
So, Chris Jericho wasn't too pleased with that. They tried to put on the best match they could, but Fandango just hasn't had much of a run.
No.
They've never held belts, either individually or together. They've never held a gold in the company until today, but they've been in the company for such a long time. Fandango has been in the company for 15 years. He won NXT season 1 or season 2, which is that's when NXT was a reality show.
Yeah.
So he won that, became R-Truth's tag partner, and was promised in his contract a title opportunity that he never got. I mean, it's a reality TV show that's scripted, and you don't even give the guy what you tell him he's going to give him, and it's scripted. It's not as if you back out of it. You wrote the fucking contract that said he could have a title shot, and then you just didn't give him it. I don't know I don't know who you would try and blame for that. That is just WWE. That's creative. Damn it. So anyway, Fandango, Tyler Breeze. They had a bit of a funny run in SmackDown when they were a tag team.
Yeah.
Then they went back to NXT. Much like Finn Balor, probably the best place for them.
Yeah.
They just and I hate to think, because a lot of people will say NXT's your sort of lower rung, and then you've got your main roster. Boom, everybody wants to be in the main roster. But you get people like Ricochet who aren't doing great on the main roster, who were doing amazing in NXT.
Who can you name that is like a really top card right now that is like going for titles that isn't a big dude? Because the people we're looking at, right?
Do you mean big like muscular or
yeah,
big like big with the fans?
muscular kind of guys. We can Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt's
Just a big guy, right?
Yeah.
So Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
And then Drew McIntyre. And we have a big guy like Roman Reigns. He's just a big, strong guy that we're looking at.
Yep, you've got the big dog, Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
That's
the big
it.
dog.
So
We've got. Wait, why is he winning in my mind? Keith Lee. Keith Lee now.
Yep.
Like we never really see people that are like skinny that are getting championships right now. It's always big.
yeah.
Like, right now it's just big people. Randy Orton's just having a match. Like no one else other than just big muscly guys are getting championships.
It's because Vince McMahon loves big guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
So it's not
so,
not
like,
fair. They're missing out.
and then you go down and you see Finn Balor, who's like just a skinny guy, but he's athletic and all that.
Yeah.
You see Fandango, he's a skinny guy as well. Karrion Kross isn't a big guy either. He got title. Just like, I don't know, it's just weird how a bunch of big guys are on
NXT are giving their fans what they want. I just don't think that they're enticing new fans.
No.
I mean, I know people who I know people personally who will view NXT as developmental, and it's like it's like if you supported like a football team, you don't really watch them. You don't really watch the training, you just watch the main team. You don't really watch the people who are training to be on the main team. You just watch the main team, and much like that, these people have got the same mindset. Whereas you don't watch people training to be on the main roster. You just watch the main roster.
But like, there's a lot of NXT that isn't developmental.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So just before we've got a picture here, famous picture of famous pose from Triple H, should I say, doing the finger gun point to the his boys.
Yeah.
At the time, whether it's Finn Balor, whether it's Adam Cole, Keith Lee, whatever, you could basically put MD in that picture, and Triple H just is always the centre. Anyway, so you get him celebrating with the two new tag team champions. This is their first gold in the company. As I say, Fandango's been there for 15 years. Tyler Breeze is something similar. And yeah, it was great to see that. A little bit of extra. That was NXT. There was a couple of more storyline progressions that
we don't really know.
We don't really care. I don't really care too much about. So I'm going to jump into the chat box before I move on to SmackDown, because we're coming to the sort of closing sections of the show now. Congosaurus, hopefully Finn wins and they can factor them both having to give up the titles into the story. I wouldn't be against that. I would like to see Finn win. I would like to see Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa hold that again, and just do a little bit with that. Cross versus Demon Finn would be great. I completely agree with that. Karrion Kross did have a sort of supernatural demon aspect to him, like he managed to set the contract on fire
and all that.
Yeah, he managed to set the contract on fire without really doing anything to it. I thought that was pretty cool. I'd like to see that. Fandango has been signed for as long as Shelton Benjamin waited to win a match. Good point, man. Good point.
I'm pretty sure Shelton Benjamin's been signed longer than that as well.
Longer than he's had a match, or
yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Probably. NXT is far and away WWE's best show, but yes, Vince won't push anyone who isn't a big guy. Yeah, and I think, I don't know if you agree with me, Congosaurus, but I do think that NXT are giving the fans what they want. They're just not doing enough to entice new fans, and I think maybe they're missing out on a whole market of people just now.
Well, explain what you think they're not doing. Because I think
I don't know what they could do.
So
because
how can you say that they're missing out on fans?
Well,
I think it's the way that they've been marketed by WWE that people think of it. Because I think NXT's really good, and can be just as good as.
I think what they need to do is bring in some legends. And as much as I don't really want to be saying that, because NXT is supposed to be.
It's supposed to be up and coming people, and a lot of people like those up and coming people. I don't know. What you're saying just feels like what Vince McMahon would do to Raw Underground, bring in people that are already well established.
I know, but I'm not. I don't mean like well established. I mean, so bring in.
Are you talking about people like John Cena or something?
No. Bring in somebody that's retired to manage somebody
John
that's
Cena's
in it.
retired.
I know, but he's been retired for like 5 minutes.
Right.
Bring in somebody from D-Generation X.
Okay.
Who
HBK or something? No.
Somebody like HBK, not HBK, not just now anyway. Give him a wee bit more time. Bring in the Dudleys.
Okay.
And have them, have them manage somebody. I don't know. There you go, Congosaurus, DDP, bring in Diamond Dallas Page just to manage somebody. And I just feel that maybe all they need is to entice new fans to NXT to be like, oh, you're not happy with the main roster? How about a Wednesday night you come check us out? We have Diamond Dallas Page, we have Scott Hall, we have Kevin Nash, we have other legends that you remember. And then you might get people to be like, oh, hold on a minute.
Maybe Rey Mysterio could do good then now.
I seen something on social media.
Put Dominic in NXT and then Rey Mysterio
I seen someone on social media who commented on one of our things who said that fantasy booking for Dominic would be he loses at Payback, he gets laughed at backstage for losing at Payback and losing to Seth. Because he's such a gimp, so he signs a contract with NXT, and Rey Mysterio goes with him as a manager.
Yeah, that'll work.
Because you've got a lot of people saying that he never paid his dues, he never did this, he never really done training, he just cause his dad's Rey Mysterio. But it's like, his dad's Rey Mysterio. Yeah, he's going to probably get a bit more of an opportunity than somebody whose dad isn't Rey Mysterio. But put him back into square one. Put him into NXT where he probably could have started, really. Built up a bit of a following himself.
Because he went straight into Seth Rollins.
He went straight into Brock Lesnar.
Did he?
Yeah, because Rey Mysterio came back. Rey Mysterio came back for a big surprise. Ended up having a match with Brock Lesnar. It wasn't a title match, it wasn't for the Universal or anything.
Did Dominic actually feud with...
Dominic hasn't feuded with anyone since Seth Rollins. That was his first independent thing. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, they threw him right into Seth.
They threw him right into they threw him right into a feud for his own storyline. But he was 619 in Brock Lesnar. He was frog splashing Brock Lesnar, and it's like, it's like a fan's dream, I suppose. And people are sitting in the front row like, why is he doing that? He's not even been in NXT or nothing. He's not doing He's not done any sort of proper training. And so yeah, I think that's what I'm getting at NXT. Is I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying that they should be more like the main roster. I'm just saying that there's people watching the main roster that are disappointed in the main roster, but are also set in their ways that they're not going to watch NXT because it's trainees. It's not trainees. They're well established people.
Definitely what I kind of thought. And then once you get into it,
yeah, I've got a couple of friends with the same mindset, and I do update them in NXT, and they go, "Oh right, okay. What's Finn doing now that he's back down there?" And it's like, well, there you go. Finn's down there working absolute gold, and he was much like Shinsuke and Ricochet. He was just sort of, here's Finn Balor. Everyone loved him in NXT. Here's his title opportunity. Here's the Universal shot. Oh, he's had to relinquish it. Oh, he's going to be out of action for a few months. Oh, we don't really have much from him when he comes back. Oh, we'll put him in a feud with Bray Wyatt. Oh, we'll put him in a feud with this guy. We'll have Bray Wyatt we'll have The Fiend, who became a character, versus the Demon Bray Wyatt. And why did they have that match? Because it's Supernatural versus Supernatural. And as much as Finn Balor put on a hell of a good match, the fucking red light that the Fiend wrestles in, couldn't see a goddamn thing. So yeah, moving Finn Balor back to NXT was probably the best thing they could have done for him.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that he wins next week. I think that'd be really good. I agree with Congosaurus, it'd be really cool. So, moving on to SmackDown, we have Vince McMahon, who speaks to backstage personality Adam Pearce, who is the bald character you can see on your screens just now. Comments on how Pearce, his mission, if he chooses to accept it, is to get the signatures for the 3 main eventers at Payback for the Universal title. That's Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. And basically the show goes on, SmackDown goes on, and every so often you'll see Pearce trying to get signatures for people. So he ends up, he gets told by Vince to go after Bray Wyatt or The Fiend, whoever's easier to find. Which I just thought was funny, because it's like they're the same person, but Bray just does what he wants, so just find one of them and get them to sign it. He goes through some sort of portal and ends up on Firefly Funhouse, where he becomes Postman Pearce. So him and Bray have a bit of a back and forth. Bray's just doing his typical insane sort of Mr. Rogers gimmick, whereas Pearce is still trying to figure out how his clothes changed so quickly. So they have a bit of a back and forth. He gets Bray to sign it, and then that's what we see. That's all we see of Postman Pearce just now. Jeff Hardy versus Nakamura for the Intercontinental Belt. They put on quite a good performance. I'll give them that.
Both kind of like performers that could really excel off each other with the way that they wrestle. But
exactly.
It's just, don't really care about it. I would much rather see Jeff in the AEW, because that's where Matt is, and they work the best together. And
they talk about each other on the shows as well. Like a couple of weeks ago, Jeff mentioned Matt, and then Matt Hardy, when he came back from his 18 stitches injury that he got from Sammy Guevara, he mentioned his brother Jeff. Like, they're talking about each other. Why not just have them on the same show, basically? And Matt's not going back to WWE. He's quite happy doing what he's doing in AEW. It's something new, something different. He would like to manage people rather than wrestle, and I think that's what we'll get after he's done with Sammy Guevara. But put Jeff in there. Throw Jeff in there. So anyway, Jeff and Shinsuke put on a really good match. Again, as Luke says, they can feed off of each other's wrestling performances. Their abilities aren't dissimilar, and they do quite well together. So it ends with Jeff getting the victory, makes his way to the back where he meets Sami Zayn, who for some reason has his own title. I'm not really... They didn't explain this, and I'm not really sure what they're going to do about this.
This is just another US belt thing. Just
no, well, they're the exact same belt.
No, but I'm saying like the exact same title.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
Same title. Like, what's going on here? I don't know.
I'm not sure if Sami Zayn has made that title himself, or if that's the title he took home with him when he was the Intercontinental before he had to vacate it, but he's just got it. Congosaurus is in the comments chat just there. So great to see Sami back. Sami never vacated the title. He was stripped of when he stayed home. You've got a point. I mean, he didn't vacate it, but he was stripped of it. Why has he still got it? Why is there 2 identical belts? I feel like they had an opportunity to maybe explain it, and they didn't. He shows up, he's got the belt. He doesn't show up and say, that's my belt. That belt's rightfully mine. The opportunity was there, because as Congosaurus says, he didn't vacate it by choice. He was stripped of it. It's a bit unfair, but it had to happen, unfortunately. But he shows up with an identical belt, and it's kind of confusing.
Stupid stuff.
Yeah, so obviously at WrestleMania, look, if you remember, Sami Zayn, Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura were a sort of 3-man team. So Shinsuke and Cesaro, who are the tag champions, are backstage having a bit of a chat where Sami Zayn shows up and he's like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm back." And Cesaro's like, "Yeah, cool. We're in the middle of a discussion. Can you leave?" And Sami's like, "Oh yeah, okay, fine. yeah, cool. I'll see you guys later, man." And it's like, yeah, okay. Kongosaurus just say he did mention on social media at the time that he was still champ, so this is the real one and Jeff's is the fraud.
Well, no, you can't say Jeff's the fraud because he still went through matches to win this.
He won it from AJ Styles, so he is the Intercontinental Champion. As harsh as it was to strip somebody of the belt, it happened. It will happen again. It has happened before. People get stripped of it all the time. And I just feel that bring Sami back, sure, but don't bring him back with another belt.
I think they're just going to do a thing like me versus you, whoever wins is the winner.
I really hope so, and they just end it at that, but I don't see Sami Zayn winning it. Anyway, so we get the backstage segment where Cesaro's like, "Oh, cool, good to see you, man. Can you maybe leave, give us a bit of space?"
Yeah.
Adam Pearce backstage looking for Braun Strowman to get another signature. He tries to get Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns' locker's locked. Door to the locker room is locked.
Yeah.
So he goes after Strowman, who bumps into Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak then attacks Strowman with a steel chair. Braun Strowman is unfazed by it completely and says to Adam Pearce, "I'll sign your contract if you can get Drew Gulak in the ring." And he does, and Braun Strowman destroys the guy. On the walk back, signs the contract. You know, I don't know. I feel that it was good to have Adam Pearce doing some backstage work, wee bit of comedy, you know, but the Drew Gulak and Braun Strowman match didn't really need to happen.
No, it was just a match to fill in time.
Exactly.
Now that we've seen matches and backstage, what do you think about him being bumped?
I don't mind that. I thought when he first came out as the monster Braun Strowman in a shaved head, I was like, oh. But it's one of these things where I reacted like that because it's new. Whereas now, I don't know.
I just don't like it because there's so many bald people in wrestling right
Baron Corbin's a strange looking bald man.
Oh yeah, he's a strange looking man.
Yeah, he's a strange looking man straight up, but he came back because he had a receding hairline when he came up to the main roster.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that people picked on him for, his receding hairline and the fact that his belly overhung some of his trunks and his wrestling trousers and stuff. So he wasn't in shape, he had a weird hairline, so he shaved it all off, and then he was made fun of for being bald because he looked weird. They had a weird shaped head and they put a crown on him, and a lot of people were like, how the fuck did that crown sit in your head when your head is shaped like that or like this? And it was, Baron Corbin can't win. So we get Alexa Bliss not backstage, sorry. She is in a quiet arena with Tamina Snuka. Don't know why she's there. Tamina Snuka, whose dad Jimmy Snuka famously murdered somebody. Rumour has it Vince McMahon helped cover up the murder for such a long time. And it's, I don't know why she's there. She appears sometimes.
She's like a market.
She's SmackDown's Nia Jax, except they're not pushing her. SmackDown's Nia Jax, except creative don't even care about her. So Alexa Bliss has her pigtails and she's wearing older wrestling gear, and this is supposed to be her character change after being attacked by the Fiend.
Yeah.
The Fiend has apparently used the heel glove on, or the hurt glove which turns her heel. Sorry, got confused there. The hurt glove which turns her heel, rumour has it, theory is. So Alexa Bliss is talking a bit Harley Quinnish, which is obviously what her character is based on. Kongosaurus, why does that ring have ropes on 3 sides? It's been bugging me.
Maybe they're just replacing the ropes.
Maybe that's the ropes in the ring that Retribution chainsawed, and that's them just replacing the ropes, and they've only get part way through before Alexa Bliss, Tamina Snuka and Nikki Cross said that we need to record something. I mean, you're saying it bugs you, Kongosaurus, but would you rather the 6-sided ring from TNA? Anyway, so we have Nikki Cross, who's holding a mug that I believe was a gift either to Nikki or from Nikki to Bliss. And Bliss throws it on the ground and smashes it.
Heel turn.
Ooh, heel turn, attacker.
Well, she wasn't really helping her when she was having her match, so it doesn't really...
No, I feel like there's probably a better heel turn they could have done, but because they involved her in the Fiend thing, it's like she's not turning heel by choice. The Fiend has made her go heel through some magic.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a bit of a dull moment, but I've not seen Nikki Cross on TV for a while, so cool.
Yay.
Roman Reigns backstage in his own personal locker room, I imagine.
New kind of attire, nothing shieldy. He's not wearing body armour.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
Jeans and a t-shirt.
New
just
shop,
chilling.
wreck everyone and leave.
Yep.
What do you think about that statement? That motto, that thing?
I'm not too, I believe when we discussed it at SummerSlam last week, it was just, it's a simple t-shirt design, wreck everyone and leave. It's just it's just a statement. It's not, it's not a promise, it's not this, it's just a statement. I mean, what we discussed last week is it's better than Michael Nakazawa's t-shirt on AEW, when it just says his name.
I quite like it though. I like it.
I'm not disappointed in it. I'm just...
It's just funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a lot of...
Yes, so this is how they end the show. So Pierce finds Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns lets him into the locker room, reviews the contract. Reigns then promises Pierce that he would be at Payback to be in the triple threat match. Finally, Reigns said that winning the Universal title back was not a prediction, it was a spoiler. Ooh, cocky.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. I really hope they don't give it to the guy straight away. As the three of us, me, Luke and Congosaurus last week discussed. Don't put him straight into the title scene, but here we go.
If he's going to be in there, don't make him win or lose.
Okay.
Don't get him pinned, don't let him get a pin, just...
Have Braun or Bray pin each other so Roman Reigns isn't involved in the decision.
Yeah, he's just there.
He's in loses the match by default. There you go. So he ends with the camera pans over to show Paul Heyman seated next to Reigns, who had just used one of his trademark lines. The show goes off the air. Pierce's journey through the contract signing was probably the best part of the show. No retribution this week on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Alright. That's fine.
Keeping us real interested.
Yeah, keeping us gripped. Keeping us on the edge of the seat of what Retribution are going to do. I'm really interested in what they do. And I don't mean like Retribution or Raw Underground interested. Like, this time I have faith in this Paul Heyman. And I think it's because Paul Heyman will write a lot of the stuff himself.
Paul Heyman also has a lot of experience.
Yes, exactly.
Our guy Roman.
Yep.
Because of Brock Lesnar and their matches, so Paul's probably gonna look for someone that Roman could fight well.
Yes.
They could have a match against.
Exactly. So yep, really excited for how this goes down. Congosaurus in the comment section. Quite funny that his t-shirt says that he will wreck everyone and leave, but he was at SmackDown this week and seen nobody, said nothing, and just stayed where he was. Hasn't wrecked anything.
He did wreck everyone at SummerSlam.
He certainly did. That was great. He was taking no sides there. So yes, that's SmackDown. So in other news with wrestling, ICW Shug's House Party Part 5 Night 1 has been added to the WWE Network now, which means you have the full pay-per-view uploaded.
Oh, so we see like a weird second-hand Dominic on the right.
That is a guy called Walter. He is in NXT UK just now. Well, was in NXT UK. He is out of action just now, just because NXT UK is not doing new stuff at the moment. But yeah, so you've got a full ICW pay-per-view on the WWE Network. If any of our Scottish listeners out there, like WWE but weren't too keen on independent stuff, it's on the network now. Just check it out. Yeah, I mean, you've got other stuff. You've got Evolve and you've got Progress and that all on the WWE Network as well. So check it out. And other news as well. The Thunderdome this week. Look, we had
don't have an image.
Oh, I'm nervous for the Thunderdome. I didn't really want to put up images of what happened this week on the Thunderdome.
Okay.
Where we had Chris Benoit appearing. We had there was a lot more negative stuff in the Thunderdome. What I will say, however, those of you that don't know out there, we had Kenny Omega.
Actually,
just tuning in live to the Thunderdome.
It wasn't a pre-rendered photo.
No, and he came out on social media and said, it was me, I was there for a good time, didn't think anybody was going to notice me. And it's, do you know what, it's, why shouldn't he be allowed to watch other shows?
Yeah.
Fuck the fans. Kenny Omega can do whatever he wants. Winning show for this week, look, after the discussion we've had, who do you want to give it to?
Maybe AEW. I don't know.
I would give it to Dynamite. I think they won it last week, but I think the week before was Monday Night Raw. But I would give them this one. Dynamite goes for the winning show. Now the championship title, I went a bit maverick on last week's show without consulting Luke and decided that the W Factor champion would be split between Karrion Kross and Brody Lee.
Which doesn't make sense because we need to establish rules.
It doesn't make sense. Who am I? WWE Creative?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we don't want to be them.
No, we're better than them people. So
the rule is that only one person is allowed it.
Yep.
And also no one can have it.
Yes. If the person who is currently the champion doesn't continue to show progression, then we can strip them of that title like Sami Zayn. So this week, look, who do you want to give it to?
If Keith Lee came in as Keith Lee, I would have given it to Keith Lee.
I would give it to Keith Lee if he came into Raw as Keith Lee. Exactly. I completely agree with you there. So
but
he didn't. Karrion Kross has done nothing this week but vacate a title.
No one has really done a lot.
No one has done a great amount apart from MJF.
Yeah.
MJF and Brody Lee, I would say, are the two this week who are in the runnings for it. I would put forward MJF.
I'm not gonna choose because I feel like no one should have it.
Okay.
But since you have an opinion to give it to someone, then I would say yeah. Give it to MJF.
So this week's W Factor champion will be MJF. Now, if any of our fans disagree with that, we are on social media: Facebook, the W Factor; Twitter, @the W_Factor; Twitch, the W_Factor; and YouTube, the W Factor Podcast. If you get any questions or comments, or disagreements or opinions, let us know. I'm going to close the show by recommending the match that's on your screen just now, which is the 2016 Square Go ICW for the ICW World Heavyweight Championship. That's Chris Renfrew versus Grado.
Yeah.
Now, these two put on a really great build-up because Grado was doing TNA stuff abroad, and Chris Renfrew was using that as his arsenal and his ammunition against Grado and against Grado's fans.
Yeah.
Saying that why support a man that won't even come back to his hometown and defend his hometown belt. Thought it was great build up, great match. Both guys put in a lot of effort, loads of hardcore stuff. We're actually, we're going to close the show on predictions. We've got Payback predictions for tonight's pay-per-view, which we will watch tomorrow and we will review next week, because we're not going to do a show after show, day after day sort of thing. No. So you will get your weekly show. We will cover predictions just now. We'll watch it tomorrow. And then if you've got any discussions, anything you want to share with us, you already have the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch and YouTube. So, look, Payback.
Roman, The Fiend, and our big bald
guy, the Braun Show.
Strowman. So, as I said, I'm going to think that Roman isn't going to get pinned, and I don't think he's going to get pinned.
Yep.
Isn't going to pin. Isn't going to go pin. This is for the championship, I am correct?
Yep, Universal title.
I think The Fiend would keep it.
I'm going to agree with you there. Fiend will retain, Roman will not be pinned.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be involved in the finish. and I don't think it will change his booking. However, I do hope to see Paul Heyman at ringside or somewhere
or
on
maybe
the show.
like start to come out at ringside.
Yes. So then we've got the women's tag team title match. We've got Bayley and Banks versus Shayna Baszler and the injurer Nia Jax. I'm going to say that Bayley and Banks retain. I just don't think there's any focus on the tag team belts just now for the women, so they're not going to change hands. The United States Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews. Crews, yep.
Good guy. Apollo's bad guy.
I swear to God, if in 2 weeks' time they make Apollo Crews lose that belt to a thumb wrestling match or another arm wrestling match, if they actually make that a title shot, I'm going to cancel my $9.99 subscription to the network.
Yeah.
Keith Lee versus Randy Orton.
I think Drew will be there because he's the big guy. He'll be at every pay-per-view. Drew's gonna do something, make one of them disqualify.
I don't think they're going to have Lee lose on his first WWE main roster pay-per-view. I also don't think they're going to have Randy Orton lose. So I'm going to say disqualification where Drew gets involved. We've got another tag team match. Rey Mysterio, Dominic, Seth and Murphy.
I think it's time for the Mysterios to have a big W.
Yeah, so we did have a no contest on Raw because of Retribution showing up, so I'm going to say that the Mysterios pull this out as a victory, but I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to like it who wins, but I think the Mysterios will win it. Big E versus Sheamus.
Sheamus, no.
No,
Big E's going to win.
Big Evil's got this one in the bag, lads, don't you worry. Matt Riddle versus King Corbin.
Hopefully Matt Riddle.
Yeah, hopefully Matt Riddle. I don't care, but I'm going to say Matt Riddle. The Riot Squad versus the Iconics.
Don't care.
I'm going to say Riot Squad, but I don't know what the story is. I don't know why they're fighting. I don't care. I just want to see Paul Heyman at ringside with Roman Reigns.
So why is these four at the bottom?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're maybe the kickoff or it's because they are not important enough matches.
Well,
they're not.
Well, yeah. No,
Dominic and Rey might be.
The women's championship isn't as important as Mysterios because they have an actual thing going on. They have a storyline.
I suppose. Anyway,
whatever.
That's the image I found. So that's the predictions, lads.
That is the predictions, and that is the show.
That is the show. If you have your predictions, feel free to get them on our social medias. And I believe that is the end of our show, people. So thank you for joining us. Congosaurus, thank you for your activity on our chat box. Always great to have you there. Your last comment there before we shut down the show is that you were actually at the Square Go match with Grado versus Chris Renfrew. I'm pretty jealous, man. I would have liked to have been there myself. But there we go.
Bye-bye.
That is the end of the show. Bye-bye.